Psalm 8, KJV. To the chief musician upon Gittith, a psalm of David. 1. O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth, who has set thy glory above the heavens. 2. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings hast thou ordained strength, because of thine enemies, that thou mightest still the enemy and the avenger. 3. When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon and the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man, that thou art mindful of him, and the Son of Man, that thou visitest him? 5. For thou hast made him a little lower than the angels, and hast crowned him with glory. 6. Thou madest him to have dominion over the works of thy hands. Thou hast put all things under his feet. 7. All sheep and oxen, yea, and the beasts of the field. 8. The fowl of the air, and the fish of the sea, and whatsoever passeth through the paths. 9. O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Expanded devotional reflection. Psalm 8. Psalm 8 is a poetic masterpiece that takes us from the vastness of the heavens to the mystery of human worth. David opens and closes the psalm with the same praise, a literary envelope of worship. O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. This is a public declaration. David is not just whispering a private praise. He is declaring the excellence of God's name over the whole world. His name, representing his character, power, and presence, is not confined to Israel. It echoes across the entire earth and extends above the heavens. There is no higher name. Out of the mouth of babes and sucklings. Here, David highlights God's paradoxical way. He uses the weakest vessels to bring down the strongest enemies. Infants and children, vulnerable, fragile, are used by God to silence the enemy. Jesus quotes this verse in Matthew 21:16, when children cried out in the temple. God's strength doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whispers through purity. When I consider thy heavens, David steps into a holy moment of wonder. He looks up and sees something that leaves him speechless, a night sky painted by the hand of God. The moon and stars aren't random. They are ordained, intentionally placed. They speak of order, design, majesty. The universe is vast. And yet, in the middle of this majesty, a question arises. What is man, that thou art mindful of him? How could the God who made galaxies care about me? Why would he notice us little creatures of dust? And yet, he not only notices, he visits. God engages with humanity. He speaks. He guides. He loves. Thou hast made him a little lower than the angels. This reveals the dignity God has given humans. We are not gods. We are not beasts. We are something sacred in between, created in his image, crowned with glory and honor, not our own, but bestowed by God. He entrusts us with responsibility over creation. Thou madest him to have dominion. God placed his creation under our care. Animals, birds, sea creatures. This is stewardship, not ownership. Dominion does not mean abuse. It means serving, protecting, and managing the earth with the heart of the Creator. The psalm ends where it began. O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. After walking through the stars and human destiny, David returns to worship. The circle is complete. The wonder is deeper. God is excellent in power, in mercy, in majesty, and in how he relates to us. Psalm 9, KJV. To the chief musician upon Muth-labben, a psalm of David. 1. I will praise thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. I will show forth all thy marvelous works. 2. I will be glad and rejoice in thee. I will sing praise to thy name, O thou most high. 3. When mine enemies are turned back, they shall fall and perish at thy presence. 4. For thou hast maintained my right and my cause. Thou satest in the throne, judging right. 5. Thou hast rebuked the heathen. Thou hast destroyed the wicked. Thou hast put out their name for ever and ever. 6. O thou enemy, destructions are come to a perpetual end, and thou hast destroyed cities. Their memorial is perished with them. 7. But the Lord shall endure forever. He hath prepared his throne for judgment. 8. And he shall judge the world in righteousness. He shall minister judgment to the people in uprightness. 9. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed, a refuge in times of trouble. 10. And they that know thy name will put their trust in thee. For thou, Lord, hast not forsaken them that seek thee. 11. Sing praises to the Lord, which dwelleth in Zion. Declare among the people his doings. 12. When he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. 13. Have mercy upon me, O Lord. Consider my trouble which I suffer of them that hate me. Thou that liftest me up from the gates of death. 14. That I may show forth all thy praise in the gates of the daughter of Zion. I will rejoice in thy. 15. The heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made. In the net which they hid is their own foot taken. 16. The Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared in the work of his own hands. Higgaion. Selah. 17. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all the nations that forget God. 18. For the needy shall not always be forgotten. The expectation of the poor shall not perish forever. 19. Arise, O Lord, let not man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in thy sight. 20. Put them in fear, O Lord, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Selah. Expanded devotional reflection. Psalm 9. Psalm 9 is a song of victory and justice. David celebrates God not only for what he's done, but for who he is: eternal, righteous, compassionate, and absolutely just. I will praise thee, O Lord, with my whole heart. This is total worship, not half-hearted or mechanical. David's praise flows from experience, from deep gratitude. He's not just saying words. He's declaring the marvelous works of God with joy and conviction. When mine enemies are turned back, David has experienced God's deliverance firsthand. He's seen the tables turn. He's watched those who opposed him fall, not because of David's sword, but because of God's presence. God fights for his people. Thou satest in the throne, judging right. This is courtroom language. God is the perfect judge, and he rules from a throne not of politics or power games, but of righteousness. David's cause was upheld, not because he was king, but because he was right before God. Thou hast destroyed the wicked. Justice comes, maybe not always on our timetable, but in God's time. The names of tyrants fade. Their cities crumble. Their legacies rot in dust. But the Lord shall endure forever. Nations rise and fall. Kings come and go. But God remains. His throne is established for judgment, and his rule is unshakable. The Lord also will be a refuge for the oppressed. This verse breathes hope. To the wounded, the forgotten, the trampled, God is a safe place, a stronghold, a tower where storms can't reach. And he doesn't just protect the mighty, he listens to the humble. They that know thy name will put their trust in thee. To know God is to trust him, and those who seek him are never forsaken. Not once, not ever, even when it feels like silence, God is present, active, and faithful. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. Tears are not wasted. God is the one who remembers pain. He doesn't look away from suffering. He leans in closer. He keeps count of every cry. David's personal cry rises. Have mercy upon me, O Lord, thou that liftest me up from the gates of death. This is not poetic exaggeration. David has felt death breathing down his neck. But the God who lifts us from the gates of death also lifts us to the gates of praise. The heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made. This is divine reversal. Evil always backfires. The very net they wove to trap others now entangles them. The pit dug for the innocent becomes the grave of the wicked. The Lord is known by the judgment which he executeth. God reveals his nature through justice. He is not distant. He is involved, fair, and true. When judgment falls, it is not random. It is righteous. The wicked shall be turned into hell. It is a sobering truth, but one grounded in God's holiness. Hell is not just for evil individuals, but for entire nations that reject God. Forgetting God is not a passive mistake. It's a path to destruction. But not all is lost. The needy shall not always be forgotten. God's heart beats for the broken. Even when the world overlooks them, God remembers. Even when hope seems lost, he sees, he answers. And David ends with bold prayer. Arise, O Lord, put them in fear, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. This is the heart of Psalm 9. Let God rise, let man remember his limits, and let justice flood the earth.